President Trump delivered his State of the Union address last night to a mostly packed chamber of Congress. But there were some empty seats. Dozens of Democratic lawmakers skipped the event in protest. While talking to CBS Evening News anchor Tony Dokoupil about this yesterday, House Speaker Mike Johnson did not hold back.
I think it's detestable that the members would boycott the speech. We've never done that. It doesn't matter if there's a Democrat president. You go and respect the office. You respect the decorum, the institution, the tradition of having had this speech made. And it's sad to me that Democrats are choosing to opt out of that.
One of the Democrats who skipped last night's State of the Union joins us now. Congressman Ivey represents Maryland's 4th congressional district. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us. You just heard Speaker Johnson call your decision to skip last night's State of the Union, quote, detestable. What's your response?
It was a little ironic that he mentioned decorum when you have the president attacking people in the audience, especially Somalian descent people like Ilhan Omar, in race-baiting terms. I've never seen or heard anything like that. You can't imagine someone like George Bush or Barack Obama doing or saying something like that. So I think they really need to look in the mirror before they start pointing those kind of fingers. And at the end of the day, I think the way that Mr. Trump has governed, it was on fairly good behavior for him last night, but I think the way he's behaved, the things he said, and we can go back to, Haitians eating dogs, and you can go all through all of that. It's shocking that the speaker would say anything about decorum with respect to Donald Trump, other than a criticism.
Many of your Democratic colleagues protested the State of the Union in other ways, wearing pins, shouting at the president, or remaining silent throughout his speech. What did you make of that?
Different members handled it different ways, but I think at the end of the day, the bottom line was, the people watching, the voters, the American people are going to be more interested in the dough than the show. And, I think with respect to the affordability issues, he didn't touch on those in the way that he needed to. Your lead-in just a moment ago, I think, pointed out that point. But overall, for example, the American people having concerns about the rising costs of groceries, trying to keep a roof over their head, food on the table, the lights on in the house. He didn't talk about anything that actually would solve any of those problems. In fact, he continues to push tariffs, which are going to, have upward pressure on costs and inflation. Even though the Supreme Court told him they were illegal, he's still going forward with those kinds of things. And then healthcare is another huge one that he never even mentioned, even though the Republicans let the tax credits expire that would have extended the ACA tax credit. All he said was Obamacare is terrible and we need to replace it. But, we've been at this for 15 years now. Republicans have been talking repeal and replace, but somehow they never managed to get things done or even a proposal on the table that would actually address whatever they say the problems are.
So given what you just laid out, what will the Democratic response moving forward here ahead of midterms be to address those issues like affordability, like health care, and should the lack of a unified Democratic response on how to protest at the State of the Union somehow signify that there are very different approaches within the Democratic Party on these issues?
Yeah, I don't think that's right. I mean, I think the affordability approach has been working for the Democrats. If you can go back to November, actually, and look at the gubernatorial elections in New Jersey and Virginia, those turned out to be blowout elections, in part because those candidates, the Democratic candidates who are now governors, were speaking to affordability. We won a series of special elections in the same way as well in the past few months. And I think that's part of why Trump and the Republicans are getting so spooked right now. They see that the writing's on the wall. The poll that you just showed is just one version of the same thing, which is he's way underwater. Independents, are in the 60% range against what he's doing, especially with the economy, especially with ICE enforcement in the homeland after the deaths of the killing of Mr. Preddy in particular. And I think that everybody who's got to, pay these electric bills, we've had a very cold winter. And whatever he said, last night isn't going to matter when they open up those envelopes and see that they owe, like in some instances, $1,000 plus for what they got. And the affordability issue with respect to health care, I've got people in my district, their premiums doubled or tripled when the credits expired. Now they've got to drop health care coverage entirely. That means it's going to cost more for everybody.
All right. Congressman Ivey, we're out of time. Thank you so much, Congressman, for